Article Who is This? Item 169. Rabbi Elazar opened and said, Who is it rising from the desert? Who is it is the whole of two sanctities, two worlds, Bina and Malchut, in one bonding and in one connection. Rising means that she is actually rising to be the Holy of Holies, since me, Bina, the Holy of Holies, connected with this, Malchut, so that Malchut will be rising, which is the Holy of Holies. From the desert, since she inherited this, from the desert, to be a bride and to enter the chuppah. It is written, Who is it rising from the desert, clinging to her beloved? This is about the end of correction, when the bride rises to the chuppah. The Zohar refers who is it to Bina, who is called me, and to Malchut, who is called this. It says that at that time, who is it will be included as one, two sanctities included. This is so because prior to the end of correction, only Bina is called holy. And Malchut that rises to Bina is sanctified only in the holiness of Bina. But at the end of correction, Malchut herself will be holy too, like Bina. And who is rising will be an inclusion of two sanctities, two worlds, Bina and Malchut, in one bonding and in one connection. A connection is the bundle of life, the end of the Malchut and the screen that raises reflected light and connects all the Sfirot as one. At that time, it will end in Yud, forever equal to Bina. This is called one connection and one bonding, since the level of light of Malchut will be connected to the level of Bina, actually as one. For then, Malchut herself will be rising to be the actual Holy of Holies, like the Bina. Actually rising like a burnt offering, which is the Holy of Holies. This is because me, Abba Ve'ema, the Holy of Holies, connected this Malchut so that Malchut will be discerned in the form of rising, which is the Holy of Holies. For then, a bonding of me with this was done, to make this herself the Holy of Holies. And since this is so, it is impossible for any diminution to be in Malchut, since her own sanctity is the Holy of Holies, like the Bina. This is why it is written, Death will be swallowed up forever. Also, it was said that she inherited it from the desert to be a bride and to enter the chuppah. The desert is the place of the serpent, the seraph, and the scorpion, and the keepers of the Torah are regarded as the makers of the Torah. It follows that this great coupling of the end of correction was done specifically from the desert. 170. She rises from the desert, as it is written, and your desert is calmly. She rises in the desert of lip whispering. Midbar, desert, means dibur, speech. As it is written, these mighty gods, these are the gods who smote the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the desert. But was everything that the Creator did to them in the desert and not in a settled place? In the desert means in speech, as it is written, and your desert is calmly. As it is written, from the desert shall lift, so is rising from the desert. Indeed, from the desert, meaning with that speech of the mouth. Malchut rises and enters between the mother's wings, Bina. Afterwards, through speech, Malchut descends and stays over the heads of the holy people. Explanation. Prior to the end of correction, while Malchut is called tree of knowledge of good and evil, her entire correction is done through the man, by which the righteous raise Malchut to Bina. Through this ascent, Malchut becomes as holy as Bina for the time being. These man are a prayer in whisper, since Malchut, speech, cannot be in a state of speaking only goodness without evil, except when the voice in the speech is from Bina, which is a unification of voice and speech, a coupling of Zon in Gadlut, since the Ranpin receives the voice of Ima and gives in the speech of the Malchut. At that time, the speech is all good, without any bad at all, and she receives the Mochin of holiness. Indeed, without this mitigation from the voice of Bina, the voice of Malchut, the first 9, there is a grip for the shells in Malchut, and she cannot receive from the holiness. Hence, the ascent of man is considered that the righteous raise in prayer, which are in whisper of the lips, speech without a voice. As it is written, only her lips move, but her voice is not heard. This is because when there is no grip to the man that they raise, and they can raise the Malchut to Bina too, so she receives the voice from Bina. At that time, she becomes a holy structure and receives Mochin in a coupling of voice and speech. and the sanctity of her speech stays over the heads of the righteous who corrected them. This is why it was said, she rises from the desert, as it is written, and your desert is calmly. Since the bride is now destined for the great coupling, to enter the chuppah through the raising of man of the righteous. As it is written, and your desert is calmly. When they extend the voice from Ima into the speech to Malchut. By that, the desert of the Malchut becomes as calmly and as beautiful as Bina. Because all those zivugim that were made before one by one have now gathered into the great coupling to admit her into the chuppah. And in that desert of the lip whispering, she rises through the man that they raised previously by the whisper of the lips, in a speech without a voice, since her voice is still in the first 9, and the voice of Ima was extended into her. Thus, all of the good deeds, now the great coupling to enter the chuppah, has been made, since now her own voice has become good without any bad at all, too, and she becomes Holy of Holies like Ima. The speech in the whisper is regarded as the speaking of the mouth, that is, without the adding of the palate, throat, teeth, and tongue, but only through the outlet of the lips and the mouth. To be as it is written, her voice is not heard. Malchut rises by that speech of the mouth. That so is the way of raising man. And then she enters between the mother's wings and rises between the wings of Bina. This means that she receives the voice of the wings of Ima into her speech. And then, in the speech that she receives, she ascends and stays over the heads of the holy people. It is so because once she receives the voice of the quality of mercy from Ima, she becomes as holy as her, and her holiness returns to those who corrected her, and they too are called holy people, like her, since her speech is now holy, like Ima. 171. How does Malchut rise in speech? In the beginning, when a person rises in the morning, he should bless his master when he opens his eyes. How does he bless? This is what the first Hasidim would do. They would place a vessel with water before them, and when they awoke at night, they would wash their hands, stand, and engage in Torah, and bless for reading in it. When the rooster called, it is actually midnight. And the Creator is with the righteous in the Garden of Eden. Also, it is forbidden to bless in the morning with impure and filthy hands. And so it is every hour. Explanation. Since the beginning of Malchut's correction should be with whispering of the lips, why do we bless out loud immediately upon waking up from sleep? It should have been a blessing in whisper, to first extend the voice from Ima, which is raising the Malchut by speaking with the voice of Ima. The first Hasidim corrected that correction in a practical manner, since the ascent of the man is either in action or in speech. Hence, since during one's sleep the spirit of holiness departs, and the spirit of impurity of the primordial serpent is over him, since slumber is 1/60th of death, and death is from the impurity of the primordial serpent. Hence, upon waking up from slumber, that evil spirit did not entirely retire from him. It is still present on the tips of his fingers, since anything that is holiest, the Sitra Achra clings to it most. And the fingers are the holiest in the body, for there is the place of instilling of Chokhmah, as it is written, and all the wise-hearted women spun with their hands. Hence the Sitra Achra of death does not retire from there even after the awakening. And it needs an action, the washing of hands. 2 vessels must be prepared. One, a higher vessel called Natla, washing cup, and 2, a lower vessel to receive the filth. The higher vessel called Natla indicates the vessel of Bina, for the Sitra Achra flees from the light of Bina. It follows that the washing of fingers with the waters of Bina chases the Sitra Achra away from there, purifies the Malchut from the evil in her, and she remains good. Then it is possible to engage in Torah and to bless for the Torah in a way that the act of washing the hands is similar to raising man by the whispering of the lips to the wings of the mother. And when the rooster calls, it is actually midnight, as it is written, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. Since the holy divinity in the vessel of Malchut has diminished into the lesser light that clothed in the shells, as it is written, and her legs go down to death. This means the tree of good and bad. If one is rewarded, it is good. If he is not rewarded, it is bad. Thus there are 2 halves in Malchut, good and bad. A half in which he has been rewarded, and a half in which he has not been rewarded. Hence her governance too, which is the night, was divided after her into 2 halves as well. The first half of the night, as in not rewarded. It is bad. As it is written, you appoint darkness, and it becomes night, in which all the beasts of the forest prowl out. To the second half of the night, rewarded, it is good. The first correction for the good half is done at the very point of midnight, since then Malchut receives the voice of Bina. When Malchut rises and is mitigated inside Malchut of Ima, and the judgment inside Malchut becomes a holy judgment from the side of good, without any bad. The meaning is that this judgment falls and stays over the Sitra Achra and becomes mercy over Israel. After midnight, a flame comes out of Isaac's pillar and strikes the rooster, who is called Gevel, a man, such as another man, superior one, above him, Isaac, Bina. The flame of Isaac's pillar is the judgment of Bina, Angel Gabriel, a rooster, a man, the quality of Gvura, which serves a higher man than him, Malchut of Atzilut, the lesser light. The judgment of Bina strikes under the wings of Gabriel, and then the Malchut receives the voice of Bina through him. When Gabriel calls all the roosters of this world, and another flame comes out of him, reaching them under their wings, and they call. This is so because when Gabriel sounds the voice of Bina to the upper Gevel, Malchut, the flame comes out of Gabriel and reaches all the roosters of this world, which are the judgments in the space of this world. And they all call out only by the voice that was sweetened with the quality of mercy from Bina. Thus the voice, which is the judgment of Malchut, no longer dominates the second half of the night. Its place is taken by the voice of Bina, to which the calling of the roosters of this world indicates. This is why it was said here that when the rooster calls, it is the actual midnight, since the rooster indicates that the voice of Bina has already been accepted into Malchut, at which time it is the actual point of midnight, from which the half of the night begins, good without any bad. And once Malchut receives the voice of Bina, the righteous raise man through the Torah. When they engage after midnight and raise her to the rejoicing Gvura of upper Ima. As it is written, she rises while it is still night, for then she appears in all her splendor and grandeur. This is the way of the Holy Malchut, to appear only at night. And she goes by day and appears by night, and dispenses food in the morning. She appears only in the Garden of Eden to those righteous who correct her so with the engagement of their Torah, who study after midnight. You find that then the Creator is with the righteous in the Garden of Eden, since then the Holy Divinity is corrected in the Garden of Eden, while she is watered from a stream of pleasantness, Chokhmah, and plays with the righteous, who are included in her in Man. It is forbidden to bless in the morning with impure and filthy hands, and so it is every hour. This is so because that spirit of impurity of the primordial serpent remains on one's fingers even after he has risen from his sleep. And this filth is removed only by washing with a vessel. So it is every hour, and not necessarily after sleep. Rather, every filth and dirt is a place of holding for the sita'acha, and it is forbidden to bless unless after washing in water. 172. This is so because when one is asleep, his spirit departs from him, and when the spirit departs from him, the spirit of impurity is prepared for him and stays on his hand and defiles them. Then it is forbidden to bless in them without washing the hands. But on a day when he does not sleep and the spirit does not depart from him, and the spirit of impurity does not stay over him, yet when he walks into the lavatory, he will not bless or read even a single word in the Torah before he washes his hands. But not because they are dirty, for with what did they become dirty? 173. Woe unto those people who do not notice and do not know the glory of their master, and do not know on what the world stands. There is a spirit in every lavatory in the world, which is present there and enjoys that disgust and feces, and immediately stays over those fingers of a person.